Before the first human ever drew breath, before the oceans were formed or the stars were hung in place, there was a war, not on earth, but in heaven itself. And at the center of that war stood the most powerful, the most beautiful, the most gifted being God had ever created. His name was Lucifer, and according to ancient texts, he was not just any angel. He was the covering cherub, the angel who stood closest to the throne of God, whose very body was adorned with precious stones, whose voice carried the music of creation itself. So what happened? How does the most exalted being in existence become the embodiment of evil? How does the angel of light become the prince of darkness? That is exactly what we are going to find out. And the answer will change the way you see the entire story of creation. To understand the fall, we first need to understand who Lucifer was before it happened. The prophet Ezekiel describes him in extraordinary detail, and the picture that emerges is not of a villain, but of perfection itself. Ezekiel chapter 28 reads, "You were the seal of perfection, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. You were in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone adorned you, ruby, topaz, emerald, chrysolite, onyx, jasper, sapphire, turquoise, and beryl. Your settings and mountings were made of gold." This was not a minor angel. This was a being of absolute divine craftsmanship. The name Lucifer itself comes from the Latin words lux and fere, meaning light bearer or morning star. In Hebrew, he is called Hillel ben Shachar, the shining son of the dawn. He was not named after darkness. He was named after the brightest thing in the sky. And beyond beauty, there was his role. Ancient texts describe Lucifer as the covering cherub. Positioned directly over the throne of God, his wings spread wide as a covering of protection and worship. He was, in every sense, heaven's highest officer. But something changed, and the change did not begin with an action. It began with a thought. Ezekiel records the exact moment. "Your heart became proud on account of your beauty, and you corrupted your wisdom because of your splendor." Pride. That was the seed of everything. The prophet Isaiah captures the moment Lucifer's thoughts crystallized into intention. Isaiah chapter 14 records what he said in his heart. "I will ascend to the heavens. I will raise my throne above the stars of God. I will sit enthroned on the Mount of Assembly. I will ascend above the tops of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High." 5 declarations, 5 I wills. The birth of the first ego in the universe. What makes this moment so significant is not just the rebellion itself. It is the nature of it. Lucifer did not fall because he was tempted by something outside of himself. He fell because of what was already inside of him. He looked at his own perfection and decided it was not enough. He wanted to be God. What happened next is described in the book of Revelation, and it is nothing short of a cosmic war. Revelation chapter 12 says, "Then war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. Michael, whose name in Hebrew means 'who is like God,' became the commander of heaven's loyal forces." The question embedded in his name was itself the answer to Lucifer's rebellion. No one is like God, not even the most perfect angel ever created. The battle, according to ancient texts, was not close. 1/3 of heaven's angels had joined Lucifer's rebellion, swept up by his influence, convinced by his arguments, seduced by his vision of a different order. And yet, they lost. Completely, irreversibly. Revelation 12 continues, "But he was not strong enough, and they lost their place in heaven. The great dragon was hurled down, that ancient serpent called the devil or Satan, who leads the whole world astray. He was hurled to the earth, and his angels with him." When Lucifer fell, something fundamental changed. Not just his location, but his very nature. The name itself changed. Lucifer, The light bearer became Satan, a Hebrew word meaning the adversary or the accuser. The morning star became the prince of darkness. The covering cherub became the serpent. The Greek mythological tradition offers a striking parallel in the story of Phaethon, the son of the sun god Helios who, overcome by pride, convinced his father to let him drive the sun chariot across the sky. Unable to control the divine horses, Phaethon sent the chariot careening out of control, scorching the earth, until Zeus struck him down with a thunderbolt and he fell burning into the river Eridanus. Across cultures, across traditions, across thousands of years, the same story repeats itself. The being of greatest power and beauty, overcome by pride, reaches for what was never meant to be theirs and falls. It is one of the oldest and most universal warnings in human history. The higher you climb on pride alone, the further you fall. But why does this story matter? Why have human beings across every culture, every religion, every civilization returned to this theme again and again for thousands of years? Because the fall of Lucifer is not just a story about an angel. It is a story about a choice that every conscious being faces, the choice between service and supremacy, between gratitude and entitlement, between accepting your place in a greater order or deciding that you deserve the whole thing. Ancient Jewish texts suggest that Lucifer's fatal mistake was not ambition itself, but misdirected ambition. He was given glory, and instead of letting that glory point upward, he turned it inward. He made himself the destination instead of the direction. And in doing so, he didn't become more. He became less. The story of Lucifer ends not with power, but with loss. The being who wanted to be highest became the lowest. The one who wanted everything ended with Durthan, and the name that meant light-bearer became the name spoken in darkness. Oh, the fall of Lucifer is one of the most studied, most debated, and most retold stories in all of human history. From the ancient Hebrew scriptures to the Greek mythological tradition, from John Milton's Paradise Lost to modern literature and film, it never stops resonating. Because at its core, it is asking all of us the same question. What will you do with the gifts you have been given? If this story made you think, made you feel, or made you see something in a new way, subscribe. Every week we explore the greatest stories ever told, from the Bible, from mythology, and from the ancient world, and we ask what they mean for us today. And if you want to go deeper, our next video explores what happened after the fall, what Lucifer did next, and how his story intersects with the Garden of Eden. That video is up next. See you there.